Hello guys, welcome to Law Notes channel. Today our topic is ownership, and today we are going to discussing about meaning and definition of ownership and types of ownership. Hope you will like it. Ownership, Swamitto. Ownership refers to the relation that a person has with an object that he owns. The concept of ownership is related with property. The relationship between the thing and right over it is ownership. It is believed that possession on a thing is the first stage of ownership. Ownership gives the full right over the thing, including disposing the property. For example, when I buy a house, I take ownership of it. It becomes mine and I have full right over the house. BALB इन्ट्रान्स को तयारी गर्ने साथीहरूलाई शेयर गरिदिनु होला. Many legal experts have defined the ownership in different ways. According to Austin, ownership is a right over a determinate thing, indefinite in the point of user, unrestricted in point of disposition, and ultimate in point of duration. According to Hayward, ownership is a bundle of rights. It can be exercised on a corporeal thing. They are an animal, chair, or a house, etc. It consists of 4 kinds of rights. They are: number 1, right to use of thing; number 2, right to exclude others from using the thing; number 3, disposing of the thing; and number 4, right to destroy it. According to Holland, ownership is a plenary control over an object. According to him, an owner has 3 rights on the object owned: A. Possession, B. Enjoyment, C. Disposition. In conclusion, ownership in its nature is residual and can be said to have a bundle of rights attached to it, but at the same time it also denotes the relation between a person and the thing to be owned. Kinds of ownership. Number 1, corporeal and incorporeal ownership. The ownership may be of a physical object or of a right only. It is called corporeal ownership. For example, ownership over land, house, and so on. When the subject matter of ownership is an incorporeal thing, then the ownership is called as incorporeal ownership. For example, patent, copyright, and so on. 2. Sole ownership and co-ownership. When the ownership is vested in a single person, it is called sole ownership. For example, a person owns a bike. When the ownership is vested more than one person at the same time, it is called co-ownership. For example, partnership. The members of partnership are co-owners of the partnership property. Number 3, vested and contingent ownership. Vested ownership is that ownership when the title of person is perfect, it is absolute in nature. Contingent ownership is that ownership when the title of the owner is imperfect and it will become perfect on the fulfillment of certain condition. It is conditional in nature. 4. Absolute and limited ownership. When in a person all rights of ownership, they are possession, enjoyment, and disposition, are vested without any restriction, his interest is absolute ownership. Whereas when there are limitations on usage or duration or disposal, the ownership is limited ownership. Number 5, trust and beneficial ownership. The subject matter of such ownership consists of property owned by 2 persons, wherein one person is obligated to use it to the benefit of the others. The person under such an obligation is called the trustee and his ownership is known as trust ownership. The person to whose benefit the property is to be used is called the beneficiary and his ownership is known as beneficial ownership. Number 6. Legal and equitable ownership. The ownership which has its origin in the rule of common law and are recognized by the common law courts are called legal ownership. The ownership which has its origin in the rule of equity and are recognized by the equity court are called equitable ownership.
भिडियो मन परेमा लाइक, शेयर, कमेन्ट गरिदिनु होला। स्पेशली ल पढ्ने साथीहरुलाई शेयर गरिदिनु होला।